Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 418 of the Hoots Podcast here on this Thursday, June 20th, 2024. It's yours truly, the nefarious brother Adam, aka Joshie Lopez. Hope you guys enjoy your week so far. Lots and lots of things to discuss in the world of professional wrestling. I am coming to you live from the Breakthrough Room here in Chicago, Illinois. And I hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing the best I can, I guess. That's the way to explain it. But I'm in good spirits in my own way. Um, feel just like plugging along with a lot of things in life and just trying to take things one day at a time. And I know there's a lot of big things coming around the horizon with my life, and just excited just to get that part going and just go from there. But all that being said, I just want to say thank you to each and every single one of you who continue to take time out of your schedule to watch these live streams, listen to our podcasts, watch the shows on YouTube. I do see the numbers and stuff that we get, and it's just wild to me that a show like this, we don't have big funding. We're not on a big network. I'm only over 500 subscribers on YouTube. By the way, if you want to subscribe and help expand and reach the show, please do us a favor. Hit the like button on YouTube and subscribe to our channel as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But, YouTube, we're kind of have a small following, but on Spotify, we're now over 1.4 million plays and downloads. It's even doing this show for 8 years to think that this podcast could have an average around 15,000 listeners a week. It's just something that I never thought would be possible, especially when co-hosts have left the show, and you know how the wrestling business goes in ways and stuff like that. But for whatever it is, I can't myself depict what it is that keeps wanting you guys and girls to keep coming back to this podcast after all these years. I hope it's something that I'm doing right, or hopefully this podcast is a positive like mental escape for you. And that's really one of the main reasons why I continue to do this type of stuff. And even through the times where I've had self-doubt and wondered maybe we should stop doing this show, you guys continue to show that you guys still give a shit. And um whether I have a blue check mark, or whether we have a gazillion fans or not, I'm very proud of the work that has come within this project, and the fact that you guys still care. Look, guys, I told you already that the end is coming near. I know it. It's gonna be here before you know it, with this podcast. But the fact that you guys are still plugging along with us, I hope it's been an enjoyable experience for you. Being a content creator is not easy, especially in a realm where there's like 5,000 different wrestling podcasts where they're all talking about the same things, and then you got a lot of talented people who are doing live stream reactions like Comment 167. You got the beautiful Wheezy Blonde. She's doing her work as well. She's very talented. She's a Lions fan, but that's it is what it is. She's very talented. Does great work out of Indiana. You got Santi Sap, who's really made a following for himself and really good with networking. And it looks like they have a deal with him and Impact where they could showcase their shows during live streams. I've been a big, long time subscriber to the guys in the clutch with Ross and Dub. I don't agree all the time with Ross's opinions and his over fascination with booking discussions, but they're both very entertaining and very good guys, and I enjoy their content, whether it's wrestling related or not. I've been down with In the Clutch since day one, and they're great at reactions. My friend and longtime colleague Issa, NYC Demon Diva, great content. The list goes on and on. Then you got your post game shows. Denise Salcedo's really making a name for herself. That girl is a hustler out there. She's putting in some good content. Now she's on Busted Open. Then you got Chris Van Lee, who's a superstar. I've I had a pleasure to say almost 10 years ago, Chris was a guest on my old Pro Wrestling Experience radio show when I was doing it on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com when I was going to broadcasting school. Fast forward a bunch of years later, I was sitting next to the guy at a WrestleMania in Tampa Bay, and the guy is just a really cool human being. Now he not only he had a chance to do a 2-hour interview with my favorite wrestler of all time, The Undertaker, but he was a special guest on The Undertaker's podcast, and to see the work that Chris has been putting into the field has been very impressive, to say the least. Another guy, very versatile and just a pro's pro, you know. He's doing great work. And then, of course, I got my buddy Andrew Baydala, still kicking ass, talking a lot of stuff in wrestling, not just WWE related. Got you covered with all the AEW stuff. He has a new project. Make sure you go follow Drew's work at Final Bell Media. I think I got that right. Let me type it in. Make sure I don't flub up here. Yes, make sure to follow Drew's new project here at Final Bell Media. Finalbell.media is the link where you get it on Twitter. And Drew does, a lot of topical videos and shorts that you can see throughout the day on X. And he's been doing post shows and stuff like that. So I'm happy to see Drew going out there and doing his own thing again, which is nice to see. And more of the story as I'm putting everybody over here, I'm just saying that there's a lot of good wrestling content out there for you to consume. Of course, you got your standards, Gorilla Position, and Cheap Pete. Shout out to my boy Stat Guy Greg and Peter Rosenberg, and et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of great wrestling content to consume, and the fact that you guys still want to come in here and hang out with me each week, even though I may not agree with everything that's popular on X, and I don't fit the IWC bubble. I really try my best just to make sure that each episode is interesting and make sure that each episode is better than the last. And hopefully you take away some life lessons. Maybe you get a different perspective on the wrestling business and try to look at it from a bigger picture standpoint, because far too many times we kind of look at wrestling through the lens of sports, and we need to have like a rash conclusion thought on where this angle's going or that character is going and blah, 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 blah. And we'll get into that a little later on this week in WWE, because obviously we had the arrival of the Wyatt 6. That's a very topical thing that's going on right now. So yes, I will give you my thoughts and soliloquies, if you will, on that debut that happened this past Monday in Corpus Christi. But like I said, man, thank you all for giving the show a chance and still caring. It really does mean a lot to me. By the way, you can follow me at X if you'd like at the Hoots Podcast, Instagram at Josh Lopez Music. If you'd like to advertise with the Hoots Podcast, all you have to do is hit us up at the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. All other important information is in the description of the YouTube video and the podcast on Spotify. By the way, I would really say the most beneficial way to help us out in regards to the podcast, besides subscribing on YouTube, is following the show on Spotify. It's free of charge. You guys know the drill. I drop the show every single Thursday. It comes to you free of charge on Spotify. Our host site of the podcast is Spotify for Podcasters. And the only way I could be able to get a chance to once again start getting ads and revenue on the podcast is bumping up our followers on Spotify. So if you listen to us on Spotify, please, if you can, just press the follow button. It's free of charge. Share the link to the show with your friends and tell them to follow the Hoots Podcast, and it would mean a lot to me. So I appreciate you all. That's pretty much it for plugs. By the way, we'll be doing the Back Porch Q&A session as our main event segment, as we always do here on the podcast at Hoots. And for anybody here who's watching live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you can ask me whatever you want, whatever's on your mind, soul, body, and spirit, and I'll try my best to answer your questions throughout the show. So before we get to This Week in WWE, there's something that I wanted to address with each and every single one of you. Um, I I say a lot over the years that mental health and just having honest conversations about life is very important to what I do with this podcast, because it's not just a wrestling podcast. I like to bring you guys into my life. In a lot of ways, this podcast, in a way, is my therapy session. But not to be concerned about me. I'm in good spirits. Not to the fact that I need therapy about anything. I feel like I'm mostly healed for the traumas in my life. I really have a lot of things that I'm grateful for. A lot of things that I'm happy about and grateful for around the corner. And you know, it's coming up in a couple days, the 5-year anniversary of having my heart broken, and um, I'm in such a better place right now with all that than I was at that time, honestly, because that hurt that much. Um, and I'm in a different position now. Honestly, I'm older. I just turned 30. I felt like I've matured a lot in these past 5 years. Really taking a lot of those time to reevaluate myself and how I see myself, and trying to rediscover what makes me me, and everything that's gone on with my transformation project. I'm not going to bore you guys to death with the walks and the weight loss stuff. You guys already know what's going on with that. Hope you guys can see progress as the weeks go by. But yeah, the 5-year anniversary will be Tuesday. And that day will be always a significant day for me, because it was that day that I really need to realize that I need to rediscover who I am. And I need to do some soul searching in a lot of ways too. And the sharpest pains in life can really bring the best out of you if you allow yourself to go through the pain and the process of healing, and the process of forgiving yourself. And I've learned a lot. I feel like I've grown to become a better man out of it. I felt like I got into a place in my heart where I know what my worth is, professionally, personally, relationship wise, etc., etc. I feel like I've done a lot of good work on myself in these past 5 years to really find myself and be proud of who I am. And um, you know, how Cody Rhodes has that tagline, like becoming undesirable to undeniable. I feel like I've been going through that process myself for the last couple of years, and really just honing in on what makes me me, and not apologizing for it. Very, very steadfast, and um, eyes focus on what's making me happy and what's best for me. And I think for a lot of years, I wasn't listening to myself. Obviously, I was not listening to myself when it comes to my body and my health, and I need to take care of that. Wasn't really paying attention to what makes me happy. Not paying attention to my connection with God. Not, you know, there was a lot of stuff I needed to work on at that time, and I took a lot of risks. Threw myself open out there. Um, got my heart broken. But looking back on it now, I have no regrets about it, because I think in life you need to take those risks. You need to go through pain, and you need to go through some adversity to really find a better grasp of what makes you you. And as I'm entering this next chapter of my life, all things going forward is what's to make me happy. I'm not really out to prove anything to anybody anymore. Um, what I want out of this next chapter is just to be happy. It's the main thing. And regardless of where that comes from, professionally or personally or romantically, I just want to be in a good place with myself more than anything, because I think for a lot of years I hid behind my talents and what I'm good at with my work stuff, but I never really took enough time to take stock in what makes Josh Lopez, I admit, even for being a broadcaster in this field for 10 years, there's still parts of me that's very shy, and introverted in ways, I guess, if I could be honest with y'all. But all that being said, the challenge of coming on here and even doing a live video show each week, it's a challenge. And I've allowed myself to be very vulnerable with you guys over the years, and we've had a lot of deep conversations, and some uncomfortable conversations and stuff like that. But we're all going through this journey of life together, right? And I'm very grateful for you guys to accept me for who I am and not judge me. And if people have judged me behind my back, it's fine. I've always kept to this theory because it's true, especially someone like myself who lives with self-doubt. There's really nothing that anybody can say on this planet negatively about me that I haven't said about myself, unless it's somebody that doesn't know me at all personally and they're only going off assumptions of other people. I know who I am. I'm proud of the human being I am. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I still struggle with self-doubt to this day. There's still times where I feel lonely too, and I'm really been trying to do different things to get my mind off of things that like bother me. I've The good things with the walk and trying to get my weight down. It's cool to do that inside and walking in the confines of my house, but I've been doing more walks outside recently, and tomorrow I'm going downtown to do another walk. I told you guys before, like sporadically, I'll go downtown on a Friday and spend around Navy Pier and just chill and have a mental break day. And I'm doing that for myself tomorrow, which is going to be pretty nice. But I'm still a work in progress. We all are. Just because I'm 30 years old, just because I'm a product of divorce, product of heartbreak, et cetera, doesn't mean that I can't continue to learn and grow. And it's not always rainbows and butterflies every day, but I don't want anybody to be concerned about me. I'm happy with the things I need to be happy about. I got my priorities straight. My heart's in a good place, and really, I'm taking control of what I can control of. And I've said it before, I don't have to prove shit to anybody anymore. I don't. I know what I can offer to people, professionally and personally. And two, I'm very grateful for Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, to kind of remind me the inner drive that you need to have to go after the goals that you want for yourself in your life and your career. And that's why I feel like in my life, I feel like I have more conviction and being intentional with what I want to do. And I think a lot of time over the years, I've tried to like do things just to make sure to please everybody. And sometimes being a people pleaser gets you nowhere. I'm not overly religious. I like to keep the relationship that I have with God, with myself, and Him. I don't openly promote it. I don't regularly go to church. My relationship with God is unique to itself, but because I don't do the visual or exterior things when it comes to church and stuff, does not mean that I'm not into my relationship with God. If anything, especially these past 2 years, it's really my relationship with God that's really kept me grounded, keeping my heart and mind and soul in the right place. And really, He's been the one that's been keeping me going. And avoiding to get myself to a place where I'm completely at rock bottom with every aspect of my life. And I don't really promote my stuff when it comes to my relationship with God, because I don't need to express it, and I don't want to preach to people. Sometimes I come in here and I give out some words of wisdom. I try to give out some experiences, some advice, and stuff like that. But like, we all have different relationships with God, and I can't, especially for somebody who doesn't believe in God. I'm not gonna convince you otherwise. And I'm not gonna try to. Um, I know that how I got this far in my life so far is because of Him, and it's unique. It's my relationship with Him, and I'm very grateful for the things that God has done for me, and I'm very grateful for the relationship that I have with God now, because He's really helped me a lot when it comes to my healing process, and yeah, I'm very into my relationship with God, the same, more or less. Before we get to the wrestling talk, there's something I wanted to share with you guys, and it's something that I worked on during my trip to Orlando a couple of weeks ago. Um, for whatever reason, like Saturdays are always seems to be the days where like I have either the worst of luck, or those are the days I just start feeling lonely and I start getting in my thoughts, and it gives me time to reflect on a lot of shit. Saturdays, maybe it's because I don't have kids, maybe because I'm not in a relationship, and maybe like that's part of the loneliness. I could be honest with that, but in those times where I am lonely, I have time to take a step back and kind of reevaluate a lot of things and do some self uh, evaluations of myself. We have to hold ourselves accountable at times too. So the Saturday that I was down there in Orlando was June 8th, and had a good time. I went to Disney Springs, got to check that out for the first time. So I was down there. Uh, that was my activity for the day. Getting out of my hotel room was going to Disney Springs. Got to check it out. Had some good food. It was a little different. Honestly, it's more of like a shopping center more than a complex like Epcot or Animal Kingdom, et cetera, et cetera. So it was just a nice way to get out, right? And I think a lot of things that I want to do this next chapter of my life is to get out more, explore more, do things that I don't usually do when I'm here in Chicago all the time. And as you guys know, one of the main reasons why I want to move out of the city, because I feel stuck in a lot of ways. I feel like I'm stuck in my routine. I'm stuck with the way my life is in Chicago and everything that surrounds it, and I just need to start anew. So um, I had a really good time that night, that Saturday night. So I went to Disney Springs. I had a good time, and then I went back to my hotel. Probably got back to my room like around 9:30 ish, and even then, I'm there by myself, so I'm having my time to think about a lot of things. And I think one of the big reasons that this trip was so memorable and successful for me for this time around in Florida was because I really took a lot of time to um, do some soul searching within myself of what I wanted out of me. What I wanted out of this next 10 years of my life, what I wanted in this move, and like I said earlier about being intentional and having conviction, like. Um, we all have big picture goals. You guys already know what my goal is for the end of the year, and I'm gonna make that happen. Um, but there's a lot more to it than just okay. I'm leaving Chicago and I'm moving to Florida. It's a lot of soul searching within myself. So, um, and one of the main reasons why I took the trip was to celebrate my 30th birthday. So when I got back to my hotel room and I was just chilling in the room and I was thinking about where I am in my life right now in my heart, I made a list on my notes app on my iPhone. I have it here on my phone, and I made a list. It was 30 promises to myself in honor of turning 30, basically. And to show you evidence that I have this, here it is right here. Hope you guys can see that on the screen. By the way, go to YouTube at the Hoots Podcast to see the video versions. But this right here is something that I made on the Saturday night that I got back to my hotel room. That Saturday night, and it's 30 promises to myself. June 8th at 9:49 p.m. Eastern time, which was 8:49 here in Chicago. Anyways, I made this, and this is something to hold myself accountable. Um, I know that Jervon Dexter of the Bears recently had a notes screen share thing of the things that he wanted to do for this football season. Um, I think that's pretty cool. I think to have like a daily reminder or something to look back on and to remind you what you want out of yourself, it's very something to hold on to. That's the good thing about this notes app. It's not always sappy shit or depressing uh, um, journals and stuff. It can be very productive as well. So, anyways, again, 30 promises that I wanted to make to myself, and I wanted to read them to you guys as the beginning part of this podcast. So, the first one and the most important one, I think you get kind of the drift here, is to never lose myself. I feel like not exclusive to what happened 5 years ago, but just with a lot of things in my life, I felt like in a lot of ways I've lost myself. I let myself go physically, obviously, and I was kind of all over the place. And one thing I want to remind myself in this next chapter is to not lose myself, be able to adapt when things don't go my way. I know it's not going to be rainbows and butterflies in this next chapter too. Nothing is in this life. But the one main constant I want to remind myself as I get into this next chapter of my life is to not lose myself. The second one was to reach every goal and elevate my craft. 3 is to love myself despite any hurdle in any future relationships. A little piggyback to the first one. Fourth one here was a very important one to me is having the backbone. And it goes back to like not apologizing for how I feel or how I see myself or knowing my value. And that's really the biggest thing that I want to express here is having the backbone because look, I'm very proud to say that I'm from the city of Chicago and I do wear the heart of this city on my shoulders and I'm not a fucking pushover. I have a backbone. And it's very important to hold on to that thing because people think they can get away with whatever they want towards you and say what they want, and it doesn't fly like that. Especially with me, it doesn't work that way. So having a backbone is very important. Number 5, to be direct with your attention in relationships. 6, no partner will ever make you question your pride again. 7, this is a very important one to me. When I made this list, I made certain numbers very specific because certain numbers mean a lot to me. Like 7, which 7 is day I was born. So May 7th, this one's very important. To have fucking fun. And I made it crystal clear to say fucking fun because I want to have fucking fun. I want to have fun. I don't want to be bored. I don't want to be lonely anymore. Like, this is what the 7th one really means to me. 8 here. Stop holding on to the past and what went wrong. 9, make a major decision and don't look back. 10, stop letting peer pressure dictate your future. 11, this is a very important one too, be open and be less shy. 12, make the move to Florida and don't look back. Another important number here is 13, lucky number 13. Continue to be the best wrestling play-by-play writer. Number 14, stay disciplined with the walks. Very important to stay disciplined with what I've been working on for the past year. I know I feel the progress within myself with everything I've been doing for the past year or so. So that's very important. I want to keep doing that even when I make the move. I have a certain goal that I want to hit, obviously, and still got some ways to go to get to that. But I I'm gonna hit it, and I'm gonna shock some people by the time I'm done with this project. Number 15, keep God with me through the rest of this journey. 16, thrive on those who doubt you personally and professionally. 17, don't take myself too seriously. 18, continue to be the sweet Joshie. Um, you know, I always hear the conversations and like the videos about nice guys finishing last and being an alpha male or a beta male and blah 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 and all this anti take jargon and blah 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 blah. Like, look, if me being sweet is a bad thing, that's more of a reflection on you than me. Um, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I'm a good, genuine person that people could consider sweet, I guess. But I wouldn't say that I'm too goody two shoes and nice to the point where I don't have any self respect because I do speak up for myself and I'm not afraid to share my opinions. So the whole nice guys finish last and blah 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 stuff really doesn't apply to me. I need to continue being who I am, and that's that. 19. Don't let the echo chamber ruin your love for wrestling. 20. Continue to play the guitar and be open to pursue music if the opportunity presents itself. If things don't work out with the wrestling stuff, as far as like me wanting to continue on, hopefully get to work for a wrestling company one day. If that doesn't work out, I could openly say that I have to keep my options open and maybe pursue music again. So just throwing it out there. 21. Go to more concerts. 22, keep the grind your main priority. Keeping the main thing, basically. 23, keep that MJ drive. That's pretty self-explanatory why I put it there, 23 as well. 24, to love my part to love my next partner with everything I have in my heart and soul. 25, keep watching Friends and How I Met Your Mother. 26, work in the pro wrestling business. 27, write songs. 28, this is a little silly one, but just for the hell of it, go to a Bears game. 29, explore your options with women. And 30, and the most important one here that I wrote besides the first one, keep that faith in being the authentic product that is Joshua Adam Lopez. So those are 30 promises that I'm keeping to myself as I enter this next chapter of my life. So, yeah, that's that. All right. That will conclude our first segment here on the podcast this week. When we come back, we'll get to what happened this week in WWE. And we got PLE to review as well. So a lot of things to discuss here wrestling-wise. We'll do it right after this first commercial break. You're listening to and watching episode 418 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the podcast that Hoots had to talk about this week in WWE. We got a pay-per-view to go over. We got a crazy Raw that happened in Corpus Christi, NXT, new factions. But I want to start off with a video here and a topic that a lot of people have been talking about over the last couple of days. And it poses a very, very pertinent question right now. And I want to ask each and every single one of you there watching this right now, do you believe in Joe Henry? Say his name, man. He appears. I believe in Joe Henry. I believe in Joe Henry. Joe Henry made his first appearance in this moniker in NXT this past Tuesday night for that number one contenders battle royal. The winner would face Trick Williams for the NXT Championship at Heatwave in Toronto. Joe Henry was the first major surprise in the battle royal, and he had a chance to cut a promo. The video's now become the second most liked video from WWE on X since WrestleMania 40, which is insane to think about. Joe Henry was a guest on Busted Open this week. Actually, today with Dave LaGreca, Tommy Dreamer, and Nick Nemeth. And I wanted to play a little bit of that conversation with you guys before I give you my thoughts on the whole Joe Henry thing and stuff like that. But here is Joe Henry on Busted Open today. And let's see what Joe had to say here. Here we go.
We've talked about it a lot here on the show. You're at the Performance Center. You're in front of the NXT audience. You're representing TNA. So you go out there, you cut a promo saying, I'm going to win this battle royal. Then I'm going to win the NXT championship. And then I'm taking it back to TNA. And the fans go crazy. And when you get eliminated, they're chanting bullshit when you get eliminated. So like before you went out there, I'm sure you knew you were going to get some kind of reaction. But did you ever believe like this? And those are the NXT faithful. Those are the rabid fans that wait for hours to get on a shuttle bus, to go to the Performance Center, to cheer on their NXT favorites. And they're cheering you to take the NXT championship back to TNA. Did you ever think or imagine you were going to get that type of reaction on Tuesday night?
I think one of the advantages of it happening so quickly is I didn't have time to overthink that aspect of it. But to be honest, like this has absolutely exceeded all expectations, like in all ways. Like for the camera to shake, it was I kind of had a feeling that I started to twig that like, okay, this could be a bit of a moment here when there were people who work at the PC, other stars who like, actual wrestlers and stars at the PC. A lot of them were talking about my song, and that started to get me to think. And you know, a couple of the producers were saying they were expecting a big reaction, and I kind of just started to get this rumbling that like, oh, more people know this song and my act and are familiar with me than perhaps I realized. So I still didn't think it would get that over, but hey, it's very hard to process because it's so new. I haven't had time to process it. Everything has been happening so fast. But it doesn't feel real. It's awesome. I feel like it's total validation, you know, because like I said, I did music for 10 years with no success. And then recently I just had a song in the charts and I was like, damn, that was validation. And then to go out there and just have this feeling that I had something to offer the business and to go out and get that reaction. And I managed to have like a 40-minute nap, and I woke up and I just woke up to JBL saying that my stuff was the best stuff he'd seen in years. And I'm just like, whoa, like he was the champ when I was getting into wrestling, you know. It's surreal and it's awesome and it's wonderful. And I hope everyone gets to experience their dream like this.
If you see like this Joe Henry wave rolling, like I'll see that you're trending and I'll be like, what did he do? And then it's, well, first his song, and then this viral thing where people are putting your face on other things, or then the next couple of days it's you turning, which all this like TikTok has been very influential for your career too. But like, honestly, like how does this start? Like, do you put something out there and then, because I know, listen, and I say this, and Dave, I know his journey. I know like even how we had him on before, he broke down how he created this song where it's garnered for you to clap. It's garnered for you to do the things that he's asking you to do in his song. But how does this stuff happen? Is it by chance, or like you said, is it timing, or like how does somebody start? I'm going to make fun of this and Joe Hendry turning, and then you're trending.
So this most recent wave of popularity, a lot of it is there is luck involved, but a lot of it was calculated. So, for example, my brother quit his job at McDonald's. He was like, "Can't take it anymore," and he was editing for me like part time. And I was just like he edits my food show for TNA, and I was just like, "Well, I guess you're a full time video editor. I guess we better find something for you to do." So that's when we started making the meme videos, and that was picking up a little bit of steam, and that was really the reels started to build up the Instagram, and then we were noticing, oh, this type of video is getting more and that type of video is getting more. So we were feeding these videos into the algorithm, and then fans saw them and started to make them. We just wanted to make enough so that the fans would get it and start to make them themselves, and that's what happened. So we don't need to make the memes anymore. So that's one example. The other example is I have like a toolkit of a bunch of things that I know will get a reaction. So anytime someone tweets me and they're like super pissed off, like, "I hate this guy, he's just, all he does is turn around," and then I will retweet them with a no context picture of my grinning face, and that seems to get a big reaction as well. So I've learned some spots that will
Nice.
garner a reaction. And what I do now is, you'll notice, and I believe this is how this happened. So I was in Orlando. Oh, sorry, my headphones have ran out of battery here. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So like I was in Orlando, and we'd planned that for weeks, that I was going to go there and train with Ace Steel and Natalia. But some signs were starting to pop up in the PC at NXT with fans. And so fans started to speculate if I was going to be there. So, I just would take a picture of like my feet by the pool, that's just clearly in Orlando, but tag it as if it's in East Kilbride, Scotland, So that was, I just do little things like that. So what I'm doing is I'm throwing out little ideas, and then one of them will start to pick up a grain of truth and then become reality. So if you really look at my Twitter, I'm having fun, and then it starts planting ideas and seeds, and they can become I've realized in wrestling, that's how all this stuff has happened, is me just like having fun with potential narratives that could take place, and then look, one of them just happened.
You willed that into existence, genuinely. Like you're using the algorithm, you're playing Moneyball, but we're all playing baseball here, trying to assemble our team. So I appreciate everything you've done outside of the box. What else have you been doing inside the box to make sure when this hits peak, you are good to go, as can be the champion anywhere? What have you changed in your life to be ready? Because there might be an opportunity tomorrow to like, hey, we're going with you. We need you on top. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah, I think that all you can do is your very best, and I know that I'm giving it my very best. There's a reason. So what's pretty cool is I just went to TNA and said, look, I want to go and do this additional training. I think it's going to be really beneficial. I want to do these additional PR appearances. Like, I actually want to not do Zoom. I want to fly to LA and do Chris Van Vliet's show, because I think that's a great opportunity for me and the company. So I'm going to the company and saying, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I don't expect you guys to cover this and take care of me. I'm going to do it. If you want to help out, great. And the company has been unbelievable. Like, TNA came to me and says, hey, we recognize something's going on here. How can we support you and empower what you're looking to do right now? So when it comes to additional training, like getting additional knowledge, like coaches, like I feel like training with Ace Steel has been really helpful. I feel training with Natalia has been, and TJ has been super helpful. And, TNA is giving me all the tools and support I need to do that. So it's basically just, I learned a lot from Moose, to be honest. Like, being friends with Moose changed my life, because I understood that, like, oh, he's successful because he treats pro wrestling like he treated the NFL. And that's really how we should all be treating it. So it's like, and here's the other thing, because like people enjoy my promos and my charisma and my entrance videos to the extent that they do,
my in-ring stuff is perhaps going to be even more critiqued than it otherwise would have, because it has to stand next to what I'm known for. So I'm mindful of that. And now it's like the challenge is, right, how do you go from being entertaining in a 10-minute segment to a 20 or 30-minute segment? And that is what I'm trying to do. And, you know, Nick, maybe maybe you and I working together would be like a great way to do that, or, you know, or me and Steve Macklin. And, you know, I think it's just like getting the right learning opportunities for me right now. Because right now, like when wrestling turned around for me, like everything changed. Was I wrestled Scotty 2 Hotty in a brewery in Newcastle in front of like 250, 300 people. And I was like kind of down on wrestling at the time, but I just had the best time and the crowd loved it. And I made the decision that, like, if it never gets bigger than this, I will still give it my best. I'm committed no matter what. And when I let go of going, oh, I need to get to this place by this time, and I need to win this belt, I need to that, just stopped caring about these markers of success and just worried about the process, the success started to come. So for me, like, it's a couple things. One is I learned to love it in front of 50 people. Like, I learned to love it on a small scale. So doing it on this scale is just like a huge, incredible bonus. But I love it in small shows and, you know, like more intimate venues and stuff like that. So I've learned to love it on a even when it's like super, super small. Like, I absolutely love it. And I've just learned to try and make it a process. And I'm learning as much as I can about physique and diet and things like that. I'm just rating myself out of 10 and everything, and trying to add like a point, you know, every 3 to 6 months. That's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Well, Joe, first of all, I don't want to take too much of your time, because I know time is of the essence for you, but we want to thank you for that time. And what you just accomplished and what you just did was watched by millions of people. And the things that you have now created are being watched and listened to by millions of people. So congratulations on that. And honestly, I can't wait to see what happens next. How you're going to follow this up. So I'm really looking forward to see what's next for Joe Hendry, because I believe in you.
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to you guys for having me on. You know, I think I can speak for Tommy. I know I'm, you know, pretty mad at Frankie right now, but I can speak on behalf of everyone at TNA that we were treated exceptionally well. And I think this was proof that this working relationship between NXT and TNA can be absolutely beneficial for both sides. I feel like, and including Jordan as well, like, I feel we've all brought it. We've all demonstrated value, and I think it's been an amazing thing for all parties involved, and long may it continue. It's an exciting time, and everybody's winning. The fans are winning as well. It's such an awesome time. And again, for me to have, you know, WWE's most liked clip on Twitter since WrestleMania is insane. But I think I can top it, and I'm excited. I'm excited for what's next.
All right, that's Joe Hendry on Busted Open today. I wanted to go you at least half of the interview. Get to hear Joe's comments from himself. I said it before, and whether you want to believe it or not, the partnership with NXT and TNA has been far more beneficial and obvious and visually more beneficial than wherever it went with AEW and TNA, or right now at AEW and New Japan. I'm looking at this card for the Forbidden Door, and like, besides Shingo and Naito, who else from New Japan is being highlighted on this freaking card? It's like more CMLL guys and people that we already see on AEW television. So while you look at, we have synergy with promotion, it's more it's like, hey, it's the glad handing thing for Tony Khan. No, it's a beneficial thing for both brands with NXT and TNA. And Joe Hendry's fantastic. I'm for sure he's going to make more appearances. I think he'll make appearances in Royal Rumble. That'll be awesome too. But I believe in Joe Hendry, and you should believe in Joe Hendry as well. Let's talk a little bit about Clash of the Castle, the PLE that happened this past Saturday in Glasgow, Scotland. I was saying earlier that Saturdays are kind of like my worst day of the week. unless it's a day where I get to cover a PLE. Look, I had a fun time covering this show. I know, again, the winner of last week's CLAHN of the Week, Matt Cap, went on a tirade. I think Matt Cap is in his phase of post being let go from WWE bitterness tour that he's on right now. So everything that they do, it sucks in his opinion. But that's his perspective. I get it. He's upset that he lost his job, and that is what it is. And he wants to get hot takes off these shorts and reels, and his work on Busted Open. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna talk shit about the guy. He's a good broadcaster and a good dude. So I don't agree with his perspectives as of late, but that's neither here or there. I enjoyed the show. Would I say this is the best PLE of the year? No, but I thought the Scotland crowd was really good. Cody and AJ's I Quit match was fantastic. Sometimes those I Quit matches can become a drag, but I think that, especially under Triple H's regime, I feel like the I Quit matches have had a sense of believability attached to them. And just like this, I think like the structure of the matches is as well as a very important part of these I Quit matches as well. And not only that one, but the one that Edge and Finn Balor had at Extreme Rules a couple years ago, where Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley gave Beth Phoenix the concerto in Philadelphia. That was fantastic. I loved that match. And this one with Cody and AJ was fun. Mama Rhodes got involved. She slapped AJ around a little bit, and I thought it was pretty cool. So that match was fun. Cody did retain. After the match, we had Solo standing next to him. And by the way, I want to thank WWE for listening to the podcast, because I'm glad that I wasn't the only one seeing that Solo would be Cody's next opponent for Money in the Bank. I know a lot of people said that it might be like a 6-man tag in Toronto. I don't see that happening unless it's something where it's just continuous brawls with the Bloodline and KO, Randy, and Cody. Then you have the 6-man. But I do think it'll be Cody and Solo one-on-one, and maybe have Randy and Kevin do their thing in Money in the Bank. But we'll have to see how that plays out first. All that being said, yeah, I'm all in for Cody and Solo. I think that'd be an interesting thing, and that'll be a tie-in to bring Roman Reigns back. Let's say, like, I know a lot of people are talking about having Cody fight Randy Orton at SummerSlam, but if you want to add some heat, if you will, to the Bloodline 2.0 thing, why not have Roman get his rematch at SummerSlam, have Cody win due to a fuck up by the Solo or one of the guys from God, and then you have some real tension with the Bloodline, like some real shit's going on. Like, look, I would have no problem if Cody fought Randy Orton at SummerSlam. I think it would be fantastic. But if it's not that, you could do a scenario where you have Cody and Roman have the rematch at SummerSlam. It has different parameters this time too, because Solo's been threatening Paul Heyman, and he's been really trying to get under the gears and all this shit. And like, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing the scenario out there. Let's say, like, okay, Solo, his ego's so out of control. He's like, I'm gonna get the title back for the Bloodline before Roman Reigns comes back on TV, right? Solo fights Cody at Money in the Bank. He doesn't get the job done. Roman comes back after Toronto and Money in the Bank, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to prove a point to you, and you have to show me. I'm going to show you how it's done. You get Cody and Roman having their rematch. It'll be a big box office match in Cleveland. That definitely sells some more tickets. And look, it's a rubber match. One-on-one, Roman beat Cody last year. Cody beat Roman in 4E. You could settle it off that way. I know the assumption out there that it'd be Cody and Randy Orton at SummerSlam, and I'd be perfectly fine with that if that's the case. If the scenario shows up where Roman Reigns does come back before SummerSlam, I have no issue at all having the rubber match between Cody and Roman. Cody retains. Then you have even more heat with the bloodline, and then you can start getting your hints of The Rock being behind what's going on with the bloodline. You know, basically Solo screws Roman over this time. You know, you set your tables going around that way. I'm just throwing a scenario out there. You could like it or not like it. I'm just talking out loud here. I don't do like much fancy booking ideas, but I think there's a scenario that you could do Cody versus Roman 3 at SummerSlam, and it'd be beneficial for everybody in their own way. So I'll just throw that out there. Shout out to my Oos, Andrew Baydala. What's going on, brother? I'm telling you, man, we gotta start doing shows again. I miss shooting the breeze with you, if you will. I'll be doing good, man. All right, so got the Cody and Bloodline stuff out of the way. Congrats to Alba Fire and Isla Dawn on becoming the women's tag team champions. Kind of interesting. An actual tag team is the tag team champions, but good for them. I didn't believe that Jade and Bianca were going to have a long title reign anyways. No, I'm not going to rush that match for SummerSlam. You could hold that off for a while. Maybe do something where Bianca turns heel. You do an injury angle for Jade Cargill. You take her out for the rest of the fall and have her come back at the Rumble and do something like that there. But I went. It's not something where, okay, they lose the tag titles and now they have to fight each other at SummerSlam. I don't think that's the case. It could be something where you do like an injury angle. You have both of them in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and that's where Bianca shows her heel tendencies. I think the writing has been on the wall that Bianca was going to start going towards the bad side soon. So that's something else to be on the lookout for. But I was happy for Alba and Isla to get their moment in front of the crowd. That was cool. Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. A lot of controversy over the decision to have Sami retain here. You know, perception in wrestling and a lot of times it's reality. And a lot of people are like, okay, how can you convince us that Chad Gable is going to be the IC champion if he continues to lose on these big-time matches? Then he's getting got on Monday Night Raw by the Wyatt Six. And I understand both arguments. I do. But I think there's more stock to having Sami Zayn hold the championship. And I know that we've gone past 3 PLEs since WrestleMania. But honestly, WrestleMania was only 2 months ago. And Sami was the champion, has only been the IC champion for 2 months now. Maybe just because we're getting closer and closer to SummerSlam, we want to do a lot of these hot potatoing of the titles with a lot of different things that are going on across programming. But I think we kind of lose sight of the fact that it's only been 2 months since WrestleMania. And I know there's a lot of program that we've consumed and we kind of live and die by these week by week shows. But I think a lot of us need to take a step back and look at where things are going. I think sooner or later, Chad Gable will find his way to holding the IC title. No, he's not buried. That's still one of the silliest arguments I see on social media. I was like, oh, this guy's buried, that guy's buried. I even see it on AEW sometimes. Like, oh, this person got buried. Nobody's getting buried. It's not that serious. So that was that. I enjoyed the match. You know, you got the tension rising with Chad and Otis. Otis shoved down Gable on Raw. That's going to be cooking up very soon. The crowd's very into Otis, so that's cool. Is there anything else that I missed on the card that I haven't talked about? Oh, Bayley and Piper Niven. That was solid. I knew it was going to be a physical match. I liked the little interactions they had on the kickoff event before Clash of the Castle. And I thought those ladies delivered in their own way. I think maybe in a way that a lot of people are feeling that Bayley's title reign has been closed because most of her matches for the title have ended in roll-up finishes, and I guess that just turns wrestling fans off. Look, it's a wrestling move in a wrestling match for a wrestling title. If that's your main reason as to why you're not enjoying Bayley as a champion, I don't know what to tell you. Don't blame her for being a smart wrestler and taking advantage of somebody that's bigger than her in a wrestling match using a wrestling move. So I'm sorry that Bayley did not do the Tiger Driver 69 to put away Piper Niven, but that's neither here or there. Anyways, let's talk about Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. First and foremost, big props to Damian Priest, man, to continue on the way he did in that manner in the match. I tell you what, man, Damian Priest does not get enough credit for how he performs in big-time matches, especially for championships, now that he is the World Heavyweight Champion. I've been very impressed with Damian Priest, and I don't think he's getting enough credit that he deserves in a lot of ways. I know that a lot of the stuff with Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan have been kind of overshadowing his title reign to a certain extent, but when it comes to when that bell rings, Damian Priest has been on a roll, in my opinion, and putting on some really good performances. And he did end up retaining over Drew McIntyre thanks to the help of one CM Punk. CM Punk will be making a special appearance on SmackDAHN tomorrow night at the Rosemont Horizon for SmackDAHN, with kind of the intention, like he mentioned in the scrum the other day, that he's probably announcing that he's going to be cleared, which is awesome. I want to be at the show, but for whatever strange reason, even on PLEs, it's like the Allstate Arena doesn't allow media members to do their articles and stuff in the press box at WWE shows. It just makes absolutely no sense to me. I want to be at that show. I haven't been to a WWE show in that building since the Cody and Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell match. I really want to go to this show bad tomorrow, but it's going to be cool, man. And I get it. Oh my God. What do you mean CM Punk is going to be on SmackDown? He's a Raw competitor. Doesn't the draft mean anything? What about the merits about the brand split? Oh, CM Punk can pop up on SmackDown. Oh, it's CM Punk in Chicago. Like, what are we doing here? Are you really going to bitch over the fact that CM Punk is making an appearance on SmackDown in Chicago because, we have to care about the merits of the brand split? The brand split should have been done 3 or 4 years ago. Sorry, I didn't want to get to that rant, but man, X has to be the home for the most silliest arguments and takes out there that I've ever seen in my entire life. It just makes no sense to me. Anyways, I'm excited to see Punk back. We saw what happened on Monday with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre went out in the crowd for Corpus Christi, decided to quit, had a little interaction with Triple H, which I thought was a nice touch coming out of the commercial break. He's like, Triple H, he has you fooled too. And I'm pretty sure it's a ruse. It could be anything where Drew attacks Punk tomorrow night. I thought it'd be a better idea to have Drew kind of off of TV, pass Money in the Bank, kind of leave that tension up there. And, have Punk have his fun in a lot of ways. Like, Drew couldn't handle the heat of CM Punk, so he decided to quit, right? Like, you could go that route with the angle. Obviously, these two are going to have a match at SummerSlam. It's going to be a big-time match. Does Punk find himself to qualify in the Money in the Bank ladder match? I don't know. He is a 2-time former Money in the Bank winner. I think it'd be cool. But, look, Punk and McIntyre, once we get to the nuts and bolts of it, once we're getting to this week-to-week program with them, it's going to be some top-tier shit, if you know what I mean. I'm really excited for that feud. The promos are going to be sick. And you're going to get some really good psychology in the matches, I think. And I can speak on it just from my experience of transcribing matches and kind of seeing how certain matches look like on paper. Like, you could get some really good stuff. Like, let's say it's Bret Hart against Diesel, right? Like, you could have those type of matches with Punk and McIntyre. It can be believable, and it'd be some good stuff. So I know that's a little throwback comp there, but like Bret Hart and Diesel much taller than Bret, Drew much taller than Punk. So, you know, a little comparison there. Maybe I'm off on that. I don't know if I would compare McIntyre and Punk to Taker and Shawn. That'd be a little bit of a stretch, but Bret and Diesel will suffice. A little underrated match, by the way, if you've never seen that one. I forgot which pay-per-view it was, but I know that Bret and Diesel had a really good match for the WWF title back in the day. If you guys get fact check for me, let me know which one that was. Anyways, now what I've been waiting to talk about since Monday. The Wyatt Six. Wyatt Six. I get the pronunciation right. Wyatt Six. Merchandise are flying off the tables. I guess Pat McAfee's show got ramshacked today. I'm not sure it's 100% confirmation that it was them that ended their show today on ESPN and on YouTube. But this has been the talk of the business so far the last couple of days. First and foremost, of course, you know, it's very somber and it's a touchy subject because Bray Wyatt passed away in August, and it's almost a year since he passed. And to Jason Baker, the guy that makes the mask, did a lot of stuff for Bray Wyatt over the years. I found out he is the guy behind a lot of the cool matches that you saw on Monday with this new group, which is great to see. Rob Fee, a guy that was working with WWE and Bray Wyatt extensively during Bray's last run last year. He is part of this project too. And I know keeping the abhorrence of the legacy of Bray Wyatt intact is very important, and it's a sensitive thing for all wrestling fans. I love Bray Wyatt just as much as everybody. I'm not going to say that Bray Wyatt was my all-time favorite character or like I'm a super mark like other Bray Wyatt fans. I can't say that about myself, but I respect his creativity. I thought he was a better wrestler than most people gave him credit for, and unlike most of my colleagues that shitted on his supernatural stuff like that, I'd be the biggest hypocrite in the world to shit on Bray Wyatt with being an Undertaker guy. You know, I love Bray Wyatt's creativity. I never had a chance to meet Wyndham Rotunda as a person, but from what you hear about him, you see the documentary that they did on him on Peacock before WrestleMania this year was fantastic. Wyndham was a really good dude. And I know that Bo, Uncle Howdy, Taylor, whatever you want to call him, is going to do right by his brother. Him more than anybody would be in tune of noticing whether something's in good taste or not in good taste to honor his own brother, which is the point of this whole group in the first place. The QR codes, the long-term storytelling where Dexter Lumis kind of had a little thing going on with Nikki Cross before both of them disappeared on TV. I did not forget about that. Joe Gacy, and a lot of the messaging from this Wyatt Six is going after people who done wrong by people that consider family and friends, and backstabbing and bad deeds. Bad deeds have consequences that come with them. Chad Gable being a bully, he got. Now, I don't think he's dead, but there's a lot of similar messages that are being expressed here. And I feel in a lot of ways that they are hitting the right the right beats, like the right message here with what they want to do. Now, do they want to tag Jey Uso because he was using the Fireflies and the entrance? We'll see. But I'm giving this some time. I am a wrestling fan at first. I am also a wrestling analyst too. But I'm not going to come on here on June 20th and tell you that this group is not going to be good. It's going to be a waste of time, that they shouldn't be doing this disrespectful to Bray and all this other nonsense. I want to give this a chance. I do. I wanted to give this a time. I wanted to breathe. I wanted to let it grow before we all start shitting on it. And I know that's a difficult thing to do in 2024 because we need a rash take on everything. But all that being said, I'm very happy for these guys. Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan back in the field, Nikki Cross, her coming out, crawling towards the Lantern. I thought that was a badass visual. She looked fantastic. Just the whole production of it. And having it on one camera shot is very impressive too. You just felt like the crowd was into every aspect that was going on. We see the blood on Chad Gable's forehead, which pans over to Uncle Howdy. The crowd started chanting, "Holy shit, holy shit." Every little beat that they were expressing to make the group stand out, I think they hit that out of the park on all fronts. It was creepy. It looked cool. It felt cool. I didn't think it felt campy. I didn't feel like it was over the top. I thought it was very special. How does that translate to a ring and feuds and whether or not this group should be winning matches all the time or else? And also cliche of wrestling jargon that we find ourselves into and tying ourselves into mental knots over booking. I don't know yet. We haven't heard them cut promos. We don't know what their intentions are yet with everything. I throw out maybe a couple things here or there. But for what I've seen on Monday, I want to give it a shot. And it's something unique to the table. And I think that, maybe you could how can I say this? You could push the envelope in a way with this group, especially if this is a Raw exclusive group. And with it going to Netflix, you could go into deeper parameters with the potential creativity with this group that you probably couldn't years beforehand. So, look, man, the name of the game of wrestling is maximizing your TV time. And I think that all five of them were fantastic. And it was a really cool visual. I enjoyed the creativity of it. It was a nice way to end the show. And it was a nice cliffhanger for the show, too. So that's my thoughts on the Wyatt 6. Love to hear your thoughts. Hit me up throughout the week on social media and stuff like that at the Hoots Podcast. I'd love to get your thoughts, good, bad, or different as far as this group is concerned. All right, all that being said, let's continue on here. I do want to mention one more thing before we head into our final two segments here. Let's do this really quick. Talk a little bit about NXT. I want to pull this up really quick. Make sure I get my information right. Javon Evans, one of the number one contenders battle royal. He'll be taking on Trick Williams at Heatwave. That's going to be an interesting match. I just want to give a couple shout outs to a couple performers that really stood out to me on Tuesday. Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice win the triple threat tag match. I thought it was a very good match. Looks like it may be Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice at Heatwave. Kind of makes sense with Lola Vice's momentum as of late. So I could definitely see Roxanne and Lola Vice in Toronto. Shout out to Fallon Henley. You want to talk about maximizing TV time. She looks good. The new entrance is dope. and I thought that was cool. I think the stock is pretty high for one Obafemi. Be on the lookout for him. And I thought Ethan Page and Javon Evans had a pretty good match to wrap up NXT this past week on Tuesday. So, man, it's crazy. Like 2 weeks ago, I was in that building at the Performance Center, which is, man. I think what I'm feeling right now, my body's like, yeah, it's good to be home in a way, but also I'm like, I need to be back in Orlando now. That's just where my heart's at right now. Like I don't want to be in Chicago anymore. And it's like more the days go by, I'm like, why am I not there right now? That's really how I'm feeling right now. But all in all, that's what happened this week in WWE. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Good, bad, and different. What matches stood out to you? I know we got an interesting barn burner coming up tomorrow on SmackDAHN with Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, and Tama Tonga. That's going to be pretty dope. But all in all, man, some good shit going on in wrestling. So, by the way, I'd be remiss without mentioning this. Braun Breaker and Sheamus was fantastic on Monday, and I really enjoyed that little wraparound spear that Braun Breaker gave to Ludwig Kaiser. That was fucking awesome. As a fan of football, that was fantastic. Braun Breaker's the truth, man. He is the truth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is what happened this week in WWE, but we have one more thing to do before we head into our main event segment. As a segment we do each and every single week as we crown a new winner of the CLAHN of the Week.
I'm not CLAHN. Constant CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
One more time for good minute.
I'm not CLAHN. Constant CLAHN. You're big on CLAHN.
Wow. Where do I start? That's the question. There is so much to choose from. I could say Ryan Garcia, the boxer, a CLAHN of the Week by default. That guy is just on another dimension of idiocy that is it's incomprehensible to say the least. I think for me, another CLAHN of the Week this week goes out to the Chicago Bulls. And I know I'm wearing the shirt right now, but yeah, Chicago Bulls, just in general, like, they wouldn't want to trade for draft picks for Alex Caruso during the season, but they decided to trade him to Oklahoma City today for a random guy and get nothing in return. So that's not surprising. Typical Chicago sports team. So the Bulls are definitely a CLAHN of the Week nominee. I mean, I think that's pretty much it for now. I think that's fair enough for a couple of picks. But if you guys have any other nominees for the CLAHN of the Week, I'd love to hear from y'all. But when we come back, we got one more segment to do this week, and we're going to answer your questions in this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session right here on episode 418 of the Hoots Podcast. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more segment to do here on episode 418 of the Hoots Podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed the show so far. I gotta tell you what, man, life is good. Life is really good. These could be an abbreviated edition of the Back Porch Q&A session because I only got questions this week for Chris, but for those who are watching or listening live, you can ask me questions as well, and it doesn't have to be wrestling related either. So, love to hear from you guys. All right, as we do each and every single week, let's drop the X for Chris Zaletta at XTeamZaletta24X on Twitter. He says, "What up, Oos? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Your thoughts on the Kendrick show last night?" Well, I'm glad you asked that, man, because that was interesting. Last night was kind of blah for me. I want to say I felt lonely last night, but it was like one of those like blah nights where nothing's going on. I didn't watch Dynamite, so I had nothing going on. So I played a little bit of Madden. Was catching up on some reruns of How I Met Your Mother last night, and went on X, and I saw that they were pumping out this Kendrick Lamar and Friends concert that they were having at the Forum, right? And I go click on it. They have the live stream on Amazon Music on Twitch. Glad I was able to watch it for free. That was pretty cool. I missed like maybe the first part of Kendrick's set, but right as I came in, like they played "Humble," which is probably my favorite Kendrick Lamar song besides "Poetic Justice." And then they had Dr. Dre come out to do Still Dre and California Love, which was fantastic. And then Kendrick Lamar just goes completely rogue and does all of the hits that he created towards Drake. And they're like, "Not Like Us," and like, OVO, OVO. And there's a little funny story about that. If you guys know Ross from In the Clutch, he had this little feud with Ryback, right? And then in the spirit of the Kendrick and Drake beef, they instead of OVO, it's OV Royd, which it's kind of fucked up to say, but it's still funny nonetheless. But I enjoyed it. It was definitely a moment to say the least, and that was some wrestling shit right there. To be a complete heel and play your diss song 6 times to wrap up your show. That was interesting to say the least. I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was pretty cool. Favorite match for Clash of the Castle. Transcription wise was Cody and AJ, but from entertainment standpoint was Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Obviously, I'm biased. Obviously, a Punk guy, so seeing him come in the way he did as a referee, I thought it was fantastic, and I thought that was pretty cool. With AJ Styles doing the match at Noah, do we think there'll be a match in TNA? It's gonna be now or never, in my opinion, as far as that stuff with AJ and TNA and him going back there. It's now or never. I don't think there's anything big on the table for AJ to do right now. I don't see him winning the Money to Bank ladder match, so why not have something where AJ can be a feature attraction, if you will, for Slammiversary? Why not? I know TNA celebrated 20 years this year, so is it 20 years? Nah, not 20 years. My bad. That was a couple years ago. But it's going to be now or never. I do believe that this would be a big deal for TNA and for them to come back, maybe have a match with Josh Alexander. I think that'd be pretty dope. So, yes, I do think that is a possibility for sure. Let's continue on here. Who should the White Six first program be with? That's a good question. It really is. Part of me wants to see it be with the Final Testament. I know some people may be indifferent towards that group, but I just think visually and conceptually wise, I think it works. I really do. Like, you can have Dexter Lumis and Rowan, I guess, take on the Authors of Pain, and you can have Uncle Howdy and Joe Gacy try to perimeter around Karrion Kross. Does Xavier Woods join the group? I do think that it's a numbers game. So I think it's either something with the Final Testament or I don't know if they'll fight with the Judgment Day. Like, Uncle Howdy's not fighting for the World Heavyweight Championship. I just don't see that right now. So I think it's either the Final Testament or they do something with Jey Uso. That's my guess. That's a good question. I appreciate you asking that, Chris. Let's continue on here with the show, shall we? Let's see. What do we got here? Your thoughts on Seth Rollins' surprise return on Monday? Glad you asked. I forgot to mention this week in WWE. It threw me off guard. I did not think he was going to come back that so soon. Look, man, the guy loves the business. I don't know if this is Rollins doing a favor for WWE where he just has the match with Priest and he goes away for another couple of months. I don't know what the situation is with him, but Seth Rollins being on Raw is a big thing, and I was happy to see him, man. I can see in his eyes. He's not overly emotional at times when it comes to like crying and stuff, but I can tell some tears are starting to well up in Seth Rollins, and I can tell what it meant to him to get that reaction from the crowd. So, all in all, I thought it was pretty cool for what it was. Anyways, let's continue on here. Thoughts on Trick and Evans. Is this match happening too soon? I think there's been a philosophy change, honestly, with NXT. I mean, besides the Braun Breaker and Carmelo feud, I can't recall too many particular programs for the title that gone more than 1 or 2 months max. Like, yeah, it's a one-off match. Is this something where Javon Evans turns heel because he's too cocky for his own good? I know they've been overemphasizing that he's very, very confident in himself. But I don't know. It's hard to explain, Chris. Like, I wouldn't say it's too soon. He's a hot character on the show. He won the Battle Royal. They've only had a month to build for this Heatwave show, so why not? This is kind of the thing that happens in the wrestling calendar. Sometimes you just gotta have a one-off match. Just have a one-off match. Is it something where if it becomes a four-way with Shawn Spears and Ethan Page and all their whining and bitching finds their way as a loophole to make it a four-way? I can see that happening. But I think for the most part, it's a one-off match, and I don't think it's something that's going to hurt either guy, regardless of the program. But that's just my opinion. Let's continue on here. We got a couple more here for Chris. He says, who do you think wins both men and women's Owen Hart Cups? Good question. It's very important because the winner of this tournament will get a title shot at All In, right? That the winner of those tournaments will fight the champions at Wembley Stadium. So it's very important to pick the right person. I think for me, I think Bryan Danielson will win. I think this is like his last crowning achievement before his full-time run as a performer is done in AEW. But I think Bryan Danielson will win it for the men's. And a little toss-up for me as far as the women's are concerned. I know a lot of people would like to see Willow win it and maybe get her opportunity to win the main championship instead of the TBS title. But I think for storyline purposes and for what I see on TV, I would go with Mariah May. She has the history with Toni Storm. I don't think anybody would have an issue with the match itself. And I feel like there's more bang for your buck to have Mariah May fight Toni Storm as opposed to her only being her lackey the entire time. So, and I know that Toni Storm's putting the title on against Mia Shirakawa at this Forbidden Door show in a couple of weeks on Long Island, not in Long Island. I want to give a shout out to my guy Drew. I think I said in Long Island before in the past, but Forbidden Door is on Long Island, not in Long Island. So that's that. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bryan Danielson and Mariah May as far as my winners of the Owen, if you will. Good questions, boys. Let's go to the next one here. Did you enjoy the ECW biography? Chris, I have yet to watch the biography, for ECW on 80. I want to watch that. Plus, I am 2 episodes behind when it comes to the whole Who Killed WCW thing on Vice. I need to start catching up on that too. The things are in my life are a little crazy at the moment, but I'm trying to juggle everything. But I do want to see that show on Vice, and I do want to see the ECW pick because I heard it was pretty good. The last question here for Christi says, what do you think the finish field will look like for both men and women's Money in the Bank matches? Going on the presumption that it's only 6 people for each ladder match, I think it'll be Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman. They'll probably throw Finn in there in like a last chance qualifier. I can see Finn winning that one. And then you could put anybody there, I guess. Maybe like Carmelo wins the last chance qualifier. So it's Jey Uso, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Carmelo Hayes. That would be my picks from there. Then for the women, I know that Io Sky won, so she's in the match. I'll go Io, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, Lyra Valkyria, I think will win the one for the ladies. Shayna Baszler gets in, I think, for 5, and I'll throw Naomi in there for 6. So those are my other ones for the ladies. But thank you for the questions, Chris. As always, thanks to all of you for participating in the Back Porch Q&A session. If you ever want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. On that note, we're going to put a ribbon on the bow on this week's episode of the Hoots Podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Make sure to press the bell notification so you never miss when new content is uploaded to the channel. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. Don't forget to follow the show on Spotify. That would really help expand the reach of our show and help us start making some money again. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. Just follow the podcast on Spotify. Type in the Hoots Podcast, and it's pretty simple. Hell, you don't have to see my face. If you don't want to follow us here on YouTube, follow us on Spotify. You get the audio version. You get to check out the songs they get to pick out throughout the week for Throwback Thursday, since we release these on Thursdays every single week. And that's pretty much it. Also, don't forget to check out my transcripts at WrestlingHeadlines.com in the results section. But for everybody, I'm Joshie. This has been episode 418 of the Hoots Podcast. And we'll talk to y'all next week. Yeet.